You want a mirrored one, don't you?
Good evening, folks. Hopefully this is all working. I'm actually working on Sue's phone, so it's beyond me. It's far too technical. So hopefully people will be joining us shortly. If this is working from Deepest Darkest Devon. I always start every... I'm not talking to myself, by the way. Sue's here.
I'm here.
I will also start every one of these thinking it's not going to work. And it doesn't appear to be, Sue. Is anybody out in the big wide world?
There you go.
Here we go.
You have a little faith. It just takes a minute.
There we go. We're off and running. A few people dropping in. Can somebody just pass a comment, if you don't mind, just to see if our comments are working? Because that's the other tragedy down here. There you go. Colin's here. Lee Jackson's here. Trevor Wheeler. So there's a few people bobbing in. So what's going to happen this evening? I'm here on fire. I'm going back into the factory, but fortunately my wing lady is with me down here at very sunny Ashton's River Pools, catching fish. So I've good evening, Beanie, James. If I'm missing people, I do apologise. So what's going to happen tonight is quite interesting as well, because I'm just going to answer a question that's been asked, and then I'm going to hand over to Sue. Ian, how you doing? Steve, how you doing? Good to see you here, folks. Good result the other day, Steve. It's a lovely fish. Well done. And then Sue's going to show you. It's not a rank structure, but hi, Tim. Yeah, Colin. Good evening to you. Paul Henshaw, how you doing? So it's where I look. You know, you can take your angling at different stages, and I honestly believe in bait making. If you make your own bespoke hook baits, you can really focus them on, like the match angler and all these other anglers do. Whereas there is that tendency, having in the shops, you know, people and the fisheries, people will walk in, they'll buy a bag of boilies and then just fish with one out the bag, which is fine. And don't get me wrong, especially if it's a HMV bait. But one of the edges is, and it's not, say, something that happens every time, because it's all about the ingredients, as I've always said, is if you bling your hook baits, and that's what Sue's been doing. And if you see, since you've been doing that, 2 new English PBs, and a load of other fish. So, like I said, I promise it works if you use... Hi, Stephen. Tony, how you doing? Hey, Adam, I'll be speaking to you this week. But yeah, so what it does, it also takes, I suppose, you to another tilt in your angling, if you get the time and have the patience, I suppose. Andre, all the way from Slovakia, hope you and your family are well, Milan's well. So yeah, it allows you just to, you know, go off in a different dynamic, I suppose, because it's like when I've tied flies, you get quite a buzz out of, you know, catching a trout on a fly you've tied. And it's the same with bait. Hi, Anthony, hope you're good, mate. But so yeah, so I'm going to pass over to Sue that. I'd just like to say thanks to the team that came down to my lakes here at Ashton's River Pools this weekend. We had one of the Pallatrax teams fishing. Don't forget, if you're not a member, you can join. It's free of charge, loads of discounts and fun to be had. Nice fun, nice people. How you doing, Stephen? Good to see you here. So caught a flew, yes, Beanie's saying she caught a few last week on Sue's baits. She certainly did. Beanie, a big shout out for you for that cracking mirror you caught. Good evening, Stephen. Hi, Neil. Sorry, I'm all going all over the place as always. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, thanks ever so much to those lads that came down. You were really, really respectful for the fishery. You caught some lovely fish, and yeah, good stuff. So I've got the one question. You didn't send me many questions, but before I start, this week's raffle prize is one of each 4 6 10s I've selected of our amazing cool, sound like somebody else. I don't want to do that. No, they really are very special. Rave reviews, catch lots of fish on them. Somebody had a 300-pound arapaima on one of the new ones I'm playing around with. So yes, so all you've got to do to enter this is go to the Facebook Messenger, Pallatrax Facebook Messenger. For those team members that are here, please don't do it on the team. You have to come onto the Facebook one. And basically, Lee Kelly's straight in there. Look at him, good man. Hi, Paul, how you doing? Good evening, good evening. So yeah, so if you want to enter that raffle, and it will be drawn in about 3/4 an hour. So yeah, there you go. And Sue will just, you know, wave them every now and again to remind you. So go on to... So Anthony Brogdon, this is a really, really, really cool question, to be quite honest. And And I don't think, Mr. Kelly, are you waiting for the competition? It could be you today. Simon, how you doing? Good to see you here. But obviously, if you know me or you've got to know me, you know where I focus on the environment and, you know, leave, as they say, leave nothing but footprints, take nothing but photographs. Got to be in it to win it. You certainly have. And this is obviously very relevant because of the fact is that I own my own fishery, you know, 3 carp lakes down here in Devon. And yeah, I'm paranoid about the safety of those fish. Hence, you use my gear, so nets, mats, slings, everything that could potentially transfer diseases like KHV and a whole host of ugly buglies out there. To be honest, there's very, very little research done into coarse fish bacteria and diseases and things like that. But the one you know, there's several kind of come to mind, but the one that you particularly is easily transferable is something called KHV. Milan, how you doing again? All the way from Slovakia. Fantastic to see you here, my friend. Look forward to seeing more fish caught on our gear out there. You're doing very well. And your legs, oh, those legs, gin clear. Wish we had them like that over here. So Anthony's question is, how do you go about cleaning your unhooking mats and nets? What's best to use to clean them to stop spreading diseases, etc., especially on waters that don't have dip tanks on their water? So I'm just going to answer this question, and I'll pass you to Sue for cooking lesson of tonight, Sue. Yes. Good question, Anthony. And all waterkeepers should be paranoid about the transfer. Hence, you don't move fish willy-nilly, because you can take what looks to be a perfectly healthy fish from one world, because you've got to remember the lake is it's a world. They don't go outside of it. Colin, it is a great question. And so you don't move fish, and that's why pike anglers shouldn't take, you know, live bait from one water to another, because it creates mayhem, kills so much things. It's a really irrational thing to do, and anybody doing those kind of things shouldn't class themselves as anglers, in my humble opinion. But obviously in the carp fraternity now, especially, yes, it's kind of percolating into barbel and other areas. Still, you know, the match fishing, I'd like to see them have a lot less fish in their keep nets. But keep nets has been one of the biggest problems with KHV. So match anglers go from one lake and then go to another lake. And what happens is their nets are still wet. And anything that potentially takes water from one venue to another can take, you know, nasties with it. So the best way is using nature again, is basically to completely sun dry stuff. There is stuff out there. There has been stuff. I remember Hutchinson did something called Net Safe. I don't believe that's on the market anymore. But you have to, you know, dry them thoroughly. And that will kill everything. Nothing will survive that's lived in the water. You take the water away, it will die. What you can do, and I do, because I've got the big solar ones here at the fishery, really good, the blowout ones, but obviously get a bit mucky and things like that. I just use a bit of warm water, warm soapy, like fairy up liquid water, and then just gently, you don't want to really scrub them. Hi Carl, good to see you here. And then dry them, so you can clean them just with a bit of fairy up liquid, and a light scrubby brush, or one of those little, what are they called, things that you have in your kitchen with a scrubby bit
like
on
a
scouring pad. Yeah. So, but obviously, just get a light one. If you've got, you know, they are pretty. Most of them are pretty bomb-proof nowadays. But you've got to be very careful. You say, right, I'm going to use some kind of detergent, because potentially that detergent could be harmful to the materials. And like I've always said, it's all about the ingredients, and what one hooking mat is made out of doesn't mean it's the same one as. James comes up with the thing, I'll just carry on, baby wipes. That might clean it, Steve. If you see how messy ours get down here with the mud, and that certainly won't stop disease. You need to basically sun dry. That's what you should do, is to completely dry it. Sun is the best, because that kills with the ultraviolet rays. But if not, just thoroughly dried, because if there's no water, no damp, and say, you know, look at some of these unhooking mats and nets, and now the keep nets and things. What's happening here? Tom Bent, I don't know, you put a load of names up. Hi Simon Pomeroy, I hope these 3 mentioned are watching. I'm trying to get them to join the team. Some new anglers I feel will benefit for the team and appreciate. Hi Sue as well, great catches. That's from, thank you very much, Tom. Cheers. Yeah, the more the merrier. I mean, you know, it's like I say, just Milan and Andre there from Slovakia. You know, the guys from Canada. You know, it's I think it's just a big international family, and there's no hidden agenda. Join. It's free to join. Nothing to lose. So yeah, that's the best way to do it. Sun dry, and mine get hung up in the line and hose down and left to dry. For rain forecast, they go. There we go. You see, you know, you've got to be sensible. But the best thing is get it home. If it's dirty, just like do what I said. It depends, because some of these arguments are massive and some of the little fellas, and then just put it out to dry in the sun. And if you can't dry it in the sun or things like that, just dry it in your garage or a shed or something like that. But that goes on to something from my own fish. Don't forget, folks, load of grits 3-1. All you've got to do is send yes to the Pallatrax Facebook message page. And the dip tanks is a strange one, and obviously owning fisheries, there is certain chemicals out there that will kill certain stuff, especially that comes from like cleaning udders. There's a thing called deer sand and stuff like that. There's things out there that you can fill a tank, and then anglers can dip. But the trouble is, it's not 100% rocket science that it won't work. Because it has to be, it's like everything in life, isn't it? To get consistent results, you have to be consistent. So you need a particular solution to water. You then have to trust the anglers to do it. You have to make sure there's a lid on it, because if not, all the bugs and stuff get in there as well. And it has to be regularly changed. Now, I used to have this, and I used to have a real problem initially until I had a cesspit. Because what you do when you're going to change the tanks and all that chemical water and gunge in there, and that's a very, very, there we go, Trevor Wheeler, very ill with dip tanks. Yeah, they are, and they can be really, really nasty, because the chemicals aren't something you would use in water anyway. So in reality, hence why, and it's not like I don't trust anglers, I can't trust nature. So if somebody comes to my lakes, they don't have to worry about bringing all that stuff for a start and taking it back with a load of fish line, because people tend to fit, and nets and mats and slings. So it's good gear, so as I say, solar gear. So that's the best way, because then there's no risk by mistake. But you know, a lot of obviously fisheries don't offer what I do here. I did at Paddington. After I had the fish kill at Paddington, I went uber paranoid about it. Looking at some dip tanks there. Yeah, exactly. That's the trouble, James. I was at a fishery a while ago, and it was just pointless, to be quite hi Richard. And then, like I say, you have to try and get rid of it. You know, you normally put it in, you know, these big old drums, big old kind of oil drums with those big blue ones. That's how you do it. So you're talking gallons and gallons of water. And then when it comes to, it only has a cycle, because when you top it up, because people have been taking out wet nets and then pulling them out or whatever, the water goes down relatively quickly. It's full of gunge. What do you do with that water? That is the big thing. And you don't want to pour it in the field or anything like that. So hi Dan, hope you're good, mate. Hope your ears are good. Are you including baiting boats in this? Some lakes do, some don't. It's a good question, Beanie. I mean, what we're doing is when a boat comes, you don't really need bait boats here, to be fair. It's not that kind of venue. And but if people are, you know, we're basically saying that we will disinfect the boat when it comes here. So we've got some chemicals, it won't harm the boat, or you know. Because I don't want to stop people, they buy a bait boat, but you know, we just need to make safe. It doesn't take water or, you know, bugs basically from other things. So good question. Evening Rich, evening Keith. Rich is off to France very soon. So dip tanks, and it was question, who put it, because I will go, I know I'm terrible, I get talking, and somebody said about Wells. Oh, there we go, James said about Wells disease. What Wells disease is it's horrible. It is really, and it can genuinely be fatal. It's a bit like Lyme disease and things like that. You get off ticks. But Wells disease comes off of rats. I haven't got anything against rats. We're all entitled to a life on this earth. But unfortunately, they do have various downsides. And the one thing is, basically, as they're going along, they just wee all the time. And if they've got Wells disease and you get it onto a cut, then, or you know, into some open wound, you know, the potential of you getting it is very, very high, and it's really, really bad. I've known one person to get it, and it was awful, you know, but loads of people have got it. Oh, that's all right, Dan. Well done. Thanks for the info. Great answer to my question. No worries at all, Anthony. It was a good question. Good question, especially this time of year when people are going fishing more, sun dry it, and we have a moral obligation, don't we? We shouldn't be taking stuff that might have any risk. And that's why I do what I do. But don't like them rats. That's from Scouse. No, they are what they are, to be quite honest. But Vals disease is a serious thing for consideration if you're just going to get in. And it's like normally when you put your hands in the margins and you've got. So I always have a medical kit with me. If I get a kit cut, it's mainly about Vals disease. There is other things you can get, but Vals disease is a nasty one. Clean it, antiseptic, waterproof. Or even I've got some of those finger stools, so I can carry on fishing. It's totally waterproof. But if you get a cut, treat it seriously, and just all you've got to do is take some, proper antiseptic and some, like I say, a finger stool, and I've got various wipes and things like that. And it's not because I'm one of these people, hypochondriac. I am a bit of one, but it's just the way to do it. Anton, you're actually here from sunny Norfolk. Les Bunyan's here as well. So I'm out of here. Next week I'll be back over on the team page. Possibly with Sue, because you're still here, I believe.
Yeah.
So, because we've got all the carpology filming coming up next week, we're really looking forward to that. But Nurse Sue sorted my finger last week. There we go. With skin glue. Do you do multi-worm shelf life boilies? I'll just take that one very quick.
Yeah.
Mark, I don't do any form of shelf life boilies because with my experience in fishery management and obviously the fishing trade, it's 26 years now, I can't make a shelf life bait. You can make safe. Oh, it's been a long day. Still got to go. Keep going. There is safe shelf life boilies out there using proper preservatives that won't harm any wild crab yet. What's that, Les? You've got some wild crab going on. Hang on a second. Can't eat an electric pump and tap to take water out the margins for touch or wells to see. I think you're saying that can't beat even. Yeah. Well, that's the trouble, because that's where they are. They're running up and down where people are dropping bait. Those wooden bits as well on swim sims. You just need to be very, very careful. Not at the moment, Les. We're making so many other baits that we can't do everything, unfortunately. Wish I could, because we've got some good baits on the back burner, but watch your space. So, I was going to say something else then. Somebody else. Yeah, so shelf life baits, it's not for me. I can't get the nutritional value in it that I want. And the bases are, to me, they're more flavour baits than actually, HMV bases. Because to me, a good bait is about the base, because that's what they actually meet, and that's what you should be questioning to. Oh, sorry, Les. I'll make some specially for you. So there you go. I don't make shelf life baits. There's good companies out there that do. The ones that are regulated, like CC Moores and various other companies who are animal feeds regulated. So hang on. James, that's brilliant. I won't say yes this week. Still not claimed the 101 months ago. Oh, don't even know what that is. Mm-hmm. You better get a hold of me if you've still not claimed it. Poor Les. So, with further ado, last plug. If you want to win some of those, being with a chance of those, draw randomly. All you got to do is send yes to the not the Team Pallatrax page, the main Pallatrax page, and you'll be up for it. So, of course, whatever you want me to do, Les, your wish is my command.
You'll have to kick him out too. Yeah.
I'm going. I'm out of here. Thanks ever so much for bobbing in. It's over to Sue. I'm gone. I really am going.
Bye. Thanks for coming. Oh, sorry, nearly knocked it over then. So yeah, I'm taking over again this evening. So I've had loads of questions. Obviously, for anybody who doesn't know, I have pretty much spent the last a lot of years doing. I love all kinds of fishing, but I've been trying to get a £30 carp in the UK for a long time and have never managed it. I've been up round sort of 29.12 and 29.14, but never quite got there. Having been over, obviously spending a lot of time with Pom and kind of learning a lot about making baits and things, get to help down here when I'm here. Speaking to Tim Hodges as well. We were doing some work a couple of months ago on the trial pop-ups that we're making that will have a food content to them. And we got talking about all things bait making, and it's kind of inspired me to go that extra mile and start making my own hook baits. Now, I have tried in the past and not had loads of success, but I think one thing I was doing is I was adding too much different flavours and overpowering it. So I've tried to simplify it right down. And what I've basically been doing is just using the Pallatrax products. And as a result, last weekend, we had a ladies' charity social at East Elf that Beanie organises. And whilst there, on one of my hook baits, I caught a £30, what was it, £30 8-ounce mirror, which obviously it's been a very, very long time coming, and I was absolutely over the moon. But I then followed it up with quite a lot of other fish. I also gave some of the baits out to other people, including Beanie, who all caught on them, or one lass didn't actually land the fish, but she did have runs on it. So I've then come down, obviously, to Ashmansworthy Pools, and on my, over the first, I know, sorry Beanie, I didn't wake up to celebrate. On the first night, basically, we landed on Thursday, and on Friday morning, Friday morning, I then landed a £31 10-ounce common from here. And to say that I've waited years to catch a 30 and then catch 2 in 6 days is just, my mind is still a little bit blown, to be fair. But I've also had some other cracking fish, and other people have. So I've kind of really got the bug in a big way. So I've had loads of people asking me how I've made them, including, I know I've spoke to Rich this week, Rich Shaw, who's on now, because he wants to kind of try and steal the recipes, if you like, to try and use abroad. Yeah, Beanie's saying she had to buy every cast on your bait that last day, and so did I. It was nuts, and once we were literally starting to run out and starting to panic. So if I can try and flip this around, so you'll see here's like my cooking school. So all the little bits I'm going to use, but basically these are, hopefully you can see, don't throw them. These are what I've got left. And you see I've just made irregular shapes. I tend to make square or rectangular type shapes. But I also tend to leave little divots in them so I can use a pop-up with them. So I made hook baits. I'll spin this back round for now. But I made hook baits out of the crave paste, the frozen paste that Pallatrax do, jungle and multi-worm. And once I'd made them, I then split them in 3, and I treated each lot slightly differently. So I'm going to try and replicate and show you what I did, but I have some of each kind just to show you that, like, what I had left, if you like. So if I can spin this round, because I don't think, I'll try and see if we can. I basically, with a third I put into a pot, and I'll tell you what I did with those in a minute. I put some into a bag, and I put some into a different bag. Basically, into this bag, I added some of the Daphnia and maggot powder after I'd added a flavour to it. So to the multi-worm, I added, I basically used the wild crab booster spray, and excuse it because this is, I didn't pick one off the shelf, this is straight out my kit bag, so it's a bit dirty. But I basically gave it 10 sprays into the bag of that, and then sprinkled in a teaspoonful of the maggot and the Daphnia powder, and then gave it all a good shake, let it work in, and then put them in the freezer. I then, the other lot, these ones, I basically got some of our spirulina pills, which are these. I've also did some of the insect pills, and all I've done is I've crushed those pills down. Oh, thank you. Bit warm. Thank you very much. So I've crushed them down, which you can see there, so they've come into kind of a dust, but there's still the odd little slightly bigger bit into it. So I've done the same thing, sprayed them in different, added different flavours, and then coated them in this. So with the ones that I just put into the pot, what I've done is with the Crave, I've added some extra flavour just to really make them pop. So I basically used the Crave flavour and added 3 drops into the thing, giving it a good shake, and then wait and see, put them in the freezer and get them out when it was time to go fishing. So I'm going to try and show you how I made them, which will be quite, because it's really, people think it's really complicated, and it can be if you use the base mixers and things. It takes a bit more, but I've found using the paste, I can make them on the bank, and I know I've done that with Beanie before. So all I've done, get a block of paste, and then take a little chunk off. So take myself a chunk. What I should do is, I'll do that in a second. And it's surprising how far it goes. Give it a bit of a roll. So you can make any flavour you want. I tend to like flatter shapes with a little bit of an indentation like this. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned, we have some pop-ups that are in the trial stages at the minute, but we're going to start selling them very soon because they're very successful. But unlike standard pop-ups, they actually have a food content to them. They're not just artificial flavours, so it gives that extra attraction. And the reason I put a little bit of a divot in is so that I can sit half a pop-up or a bit of a pop-up flat. You can also, if I'm using different pop-ups, I can make an indentation that way. You can literally play with it. If I use the little squabs, I make a real little hole. So you're literally going to just make up a few of these little shapes. Again, a lot of people like sort of the dumbbell shapes. I just try and do, I'm not a fan of round baits just because for me they eject too easily, and I'm all about, you know, trying to increase my odds. So if I can try and stop a fish ejecting a bait, then I'm going to do it every day. So, and I'm not too concerned about what shape they are, but I just make all different shapes. So I'll just show you. So like I say, all you're doing is the paste, and it's the same with all the paste. If it's still a bit frozen, it's quite difficult, so it's easier if you let it defrost, but you can get away with it if you just sort of circle it up in your hands first. So again, hopefully this is all making sense. You can add, and I have done before, you can add extras into this at the paste stage. So you can literally get some of the flavour and just add like 3 or 4 drops into, and then keep working it in. But because I've got, if I'm on the bank, I would do that. But because I've got the time, use a hammer. Yeah, could do. And to be fair, those pills grind down really. You can literally crush them in your hand, so it's quite easy. Just trying to read comments as I go. I just saw one. Anthony's saying, could be worse, you've never caught a single carp in your life. Doesn't matter, you could get, you will. took me about 7 years to get my new P of £20 leather carp. Plan is now getting up a 20 carp and a £30 carp. I was the same, Anthony. I've worked, you know, my way right up, and for me, I love just catching fish, and I appreciate, you know, the beauty of each individual fish. But there was something a little bit magical about getting that first 30, and a lot of places I've fished, it wasn't an option. I couldn't have caught a 30. But obviously the fish here are developing and growing really, really well. And to be honest, I'm really interested to see how many 30s come out this year, because I was looking back at a photograph. As happens, your memories pop up when you're looking at something, and I caught a mirror down in Jack's Pool in November 2022, which is when we were kind of just getting the water used to a bit of pressure, just getting the fish used to pressure before it officially opened. And I caught one then at £27 and some ounces, I'm not sure exactly what. And the weight that they're putting on, that I'd be amazed if it's not over £30 by now. I had a fish out this morning that was what, £26 15 ounces, and I know when Dan and Galen were over from Canada in October of last year, he had it out at £23 and a few ounces, so that's put on sort of £3.5. And it, you know, they're so healthy, they really go. But Beanie will tell you, I mean, we took all kinds of photos this weekend of different fish. I just love the different scale patterns and things like that. So now that my hands are really messy, I'm just going to get rid of that a little bit, and I've lost my lighter. Oh, Pom's stolen my lighter. Oh no, the world's going to end. Tinny, I sound like Pom now. The bugger's stolen my lighter for lighting the stove. Tins! Sorry, Pom stole the lighter. Could you? Yeah, I've just gone to get it and it's gone, so he's picked it up and gone. So can't really light the stove without a lighter. So I'm just completely replicating Pom by shouting for you. I just don't want you to feel left out. I'm just going to move this. So bear with me, folks, while I light this. There we go. We'll just get this pan boiling again. So to give you an idea of what I've got, so literally it's just a small pan because I don't need much water, and these are the different shapes that I've got. So you see I've made all different shapes and sizes to suit whatever occasion. Now, when you make a standard boilie, obviously it's called a boilie because it's boiled, and that's what forms the skin on the paste. The thinner the skin, the quicker the attraction and everything that's inside gets out. So one thing that a lot of people will do is get a boilie out of, one of our boilies out of the bag, trim the skin off, and then it starts leaking out quicker. But what I'm going to do is do a really short boil on these. So a standard bait is normally boiled for, a few minutes, because it depends what people want it for. With these, I'm literally going to boil them for 30 seconds. So I'm just going to wait till that water gets up to boiling, then I'm going to pop them in. And what I have done is I've experimented with different times. Now obviously if it's only got a really thin skin, which it has, because you can just fish with paste like this, but obviously it doesn't stay on long. Depending on where you are and whether or not you've got a lot of sort of silver fish or smaller fish, then paste won't last very long. But even with that little bit of skin on and a 30-second boil, when we were at East Elf at the weekend, there's lots of silvers and things in there, and that bait was lasting overnight. Obviously in summer, as the water gets warmer, it won't last as long, but it's still, for me, I'm not somebody who casts a bait out and leaves it for 2 days. I like to bring it in quite quickly. You know, I'm recasting my rods sort of every hour in the day just to try and get that reaction. So what I'm going to do, so now this is boiling, let's see if I can do this. Turn this down, oh, wrong way. Right, so hopefully you can see the pan here. So I'm turning it down because I just kind of want it simmering. And I'm just going to pop these bits in, and then we're just going to give it sort of 30 seconds. What you normally do is give them a little stir just to make sure that they don't stick. With a lot of baits you would do it from when the first one pops up to the top and then do it for 30 seconds. But I've done some like that, but at the moment I've had best results on the ones that I'm just literally putting in and boiling for about 30 seconds. Rich, the water temperature at Delft, one of the girls took it, I think it was 15 degrees. Oh, there we go, Beanie's answering, yeah, 15 degrees. So, once I'm comfortable, so you can probably, hopefully you can see, one is actually starting to pop up there. So, I'm comfortable that these are going to be cooked enough for my liking. So all you do, give them a good shake, get a baking tray, or what I use at home is the cheap little disposable barbecue trays that you get to put on top of a fire or something. This is just not quite. Oh, bear with me while I try and catch the ones that are left. Ooh. So, turn that pan off. Let's see if I can move it back without spilling it and burning myself. So, all I've done is pop them on to a cooling tray. I've just got some underneath to catch the drips. I'm going to leave those for 24 hours. And all I'll do is every few hours I just tend to, you'll see that they change colour on one side. So one side goes wet, thanks to me. My glamorous assistant, look, he's taking things away. Bless. So all you do is you just keep shaking them or turn them every now and then. Obviously the more you've got, then if they start touching one another, you need to give them more of a shake. But so that's literally as difficult as that bit gets. If you boil them in late water bankside, use them. Yeah, and that's what. Good point, Beanie. That was one of my next ones. So the water that I use generally, I will save, and I'll either, if I'm making particles, I'll add it in. I'll cook my particles in that water, or I'll put it into if I'm going fishing straight away, I'll put it into a water bottle once it's cool and take it with me and then use it for my method mix. So because it's full of, you know, it smells it's good job I'm doing a good flavour, because it smells delightful. But that's literally quarter of a block of paste I've used there. And I've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 11 hook baits out of it, and some of them are pretty big. Like that's quite a big hook bait. Don't need to be that big. So to show you what I then have been doing, I'll use one of the ones I cooked the other day. Like I say, I'm just going to leave those. So take a hook bait. This one, this is a crave. So all I was doing, taking half the pop up. Obviously, if it's a really small hook bait, you need to check the buoyancy or take a bit off. And then to add extra flavour, because I want my hook bait to be the most attractive thing that fish see. So yeah, it is. It's way cheaper, Beanie. And she didn't burn her hand, you say. So all I'm doing, put this into a glug. And I don't want to leave it in the glug because obviously the glugs make them go hard. I just want to give it a coating. Look at that, goodness. And I'll wait till a lot of it drips off. So to cheat, if you just lean it against the pot, a lot of the ones I've been using have already had frozen hook baits in, so they go a little bit I was going to say softer, but I mean waterier. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now. So then all I'm going to do, so this is my spirulina powders that I've just literally, I'm going to put it in, give it a good, if that was on my hook, all I'm doing is giving it a good old shake so it gets a really good coat. And when it comes out, you'll see, look at that. So that is literally full of spirulina. Into there I've also added some of the insect pills, a little bit of daphnia, a little bit of maggot, just to make it kind of explode. And then that's literally gonna go onto my onto my hair and get cast out. And that's what I was having all the results with. And I know Beanie was dipping it into, and I tried all different flavoured glugs, one to see if any perform better. The glugs themselves, it didn't seem to matter what I was using, but I seemed to get better results when I used some of the spirulina pills that I just crushed up. I also add some of that spirulina into my method mix. While I've been here, I've been adding a bit into my sick mix. Because I've become so inspired or slightly obsessive about stuff, one of the guys in the team shared a podcast from a couple of weeks ago about carp sight and the effect spirulina has and stuff, and it got me thinking that I thought, I'm going to get some of those spirulina pills, I'm going to grind them down, and I'm going to coat my hook baits in them. So, and yeah, you're right, Lee, you can put them in the freezer and keep repeating. So come tomorrow, when these are dried, I'll start that process. And then literally, so this is, like I say, all I did is split them into different bags. I wrote on the bags what was in them. If you've got pots, you can use pots, but I didn't have pots to hand. So to give you an example, I've got some little bags here, and all I'm going to do, she says if I can get the lid off, is add literally a teaspoon of daphnia, and I'm going to get a teaspoon of maggot. You can use any of the powders, but I used quite a bit of silkworm this weekend, and snails, just because there's a lot of snails naturally in the water. So give that a bit of a shake and a mix up. So once they've dried off, all I then do is I'm going to get some of the Crave flavours and into a bag that's still empty. I've just got a little pipette here, but a lot of the flavours will come with or you can use a little syringe, and all I'm going to do is just drop a few drops in. Be a bit generous so you can see it. So you see that's in there, and then if we pretend these are dry, I know they're not, but all I'm going to do is drop them in, give them a good shake. So you see they all get coated, so it gives that extra flavour. And then once I'm happy they're all really coated, I then take a bit of my powder and just shake that in. Seal it up so you don't get powder everywhere and inhale it. Give them a really good shake. And you'll see, I'll get one out so you can see it, they're already absolutely loaded with maggot and daphnia. And as Lee says, you can just keep repeating that process. So I'd put a bit more, it's absorbed all the powder and the liquid, so then I'll put just a little bit more in. Again, give it a good shake, and then they'll go in the freezer. Obviously I would have dried them for 24 hours. I'll take these out and dry them anyway. And then that just goes in the freezer. I'll just write on it with a, you know, with a Sharpie or a marker or anything, stick a label on it so I know what's in which bag. To be fair, the one with spirulina is really obvious because it goes green. But that's the process. And then you can either stick with the same flavours, or you can experiment and layer it with. So I love the combination of Crave and Jungle. For any Team Pallatrax members, there's we have a Krungle, which is a team special, and this weekend I was using a Krungle glug quite a lot, which is literally just a mixture of Crave and Jungle. So, but I was also using the different flavours with them. So into Crave I would add a bit of Jungle, and into Jungle I would add a bit of Crave, just to try and mix it up and try and see what seemed to work better. Now, ordinarily, I seem to generally do better on Multiworm and Jungle, but I think partly that's because they're more my go-tos, and I haven't used Crave a lot for a while, but I used to have fantastic results on it. But because we were going to East Elf, I know the fish there react to darker baits, so Crave is a nice dark bait, which is why I made a lot of Crave. And obviously adding the different powders makes them go darker still. So if I show you, they've gone nice and dark. So for me, it was a win-win, and that yes, I'll label some up for you, Beanie, don't worry, I'm going to make a load for us all to use. So I think Robbie and Sile want some as well. So like I say, they seem to be working, so why not? But the other thing I was doing this week, once, obviously one thing doesn't always work, so I was using the pop-ups. So if I take a Multiworm and show you what I was doing, get that off my spitting needle. So if this is on the hair, again, I'm then dipping it into a glug. Yeah, dark baits were working really well at Delft, weren't they? So, and I'm basically going to do this. Look at that. It's like cotton candy. So I'm going to let some of this fall off because this is still warm. Look at that. If you take them and not use, all can refreeze it. Yeah, that's exactly what I've done. Is I've refroze the ones that I haven't used yet. I thought I'd run out, and then I found some that I hadn't used, so I got really excited because they were in the fridge in the van. And then again, all I'm doing is giving it a good coat, if either in any of the powders, but the spirulina for some reason seems to be having amazing results for me, so that's what I was using. And when you put it into water, you're literally watching it like going up and down and all over the place. But these pop-ups are pretty special. Obviously I've been incredibly lucky because I've got to test them. You know, I'm in a very privileged position, and I've been really lucky. But I know, as I say, quite a few of there was some amazing fish out last week when we had our ladies social, and there was a couple of ladies really struggling. So I literally went down, gave them, like, you know, told them, I basically said, anybody who wants some, come and see me, because I'm a firm believer in sharing the loves. You know, I've been, as I say, very fortunate to learn a lot from Pom and Tin, and so if I can help other people, then I always will. So I literally, and there was just something so incredibly satisfying about catching a fish on a bait that I'd made. Now, I hadn't gone down the route of using the base mix. I'd literally used the paste, but there's so much you can do to it. There's so many different flavours you can add. You can play around with things like essential oils, or you can use all the different booster sprays. You can actually, as long as you don't add too much, you can work powders into your paste. You just need them to keep that pasty consistency, so that it will work. So that, as I say, it worked wonders for me, and I'm still in shock about what's happened this week, if I'm honest. So, and yeah, you're right, Beanie, if you haven't got a freezer, the base mix working on the bank would work too. One of the reasons I love using the paste to do it is just the simplicity. Literally, when I'm bankside, all you need, I have a little pan. Most pan sets come with that like tiny little pan that you don't really use for anything. So that's kind of my dedicated pan on the bankside, and I'll just make some up. Because it's sometimes certain things work better on the day, and you can experiment, you can play around and see what's working best. For me, it's just opened up a whole other avenue, and got me down another rabbit hole of trying to learn more, and get better and get more consistent. For me, it's not all about the size of the fish I catch. I'm not saying that's not important, because I every year set myself targets when it comes to fishing. And one of my targets I had two separate ones, but they're kind of related. One, it was to catch my first UK 30-pound carp, and another one is to catch a 30-pound carp from Jack's pool here and from Ben's pool. So I'm halfway through that thing, if you like. And it was only, to be fair, when I had a message off, been chatting obviously in the background with Beanie about stuff, because she's going to be here next week doing the carpology filming with me, and she said, that's a hell of a start to the year for you. And then it was like, yeah, this is my first proper fishing session in the UK this year. So yeah, Beanie says that you're not having the 30 from Ben's. I don't care, as long as it comes out, Beanie, whichever one of it is, it'll be a winner chicken dinner. Neil Rudd, can you use method mix as a base mix? Well, you can make a method mix into paste, so technically yes, you could. You can make it into a paste, so I don't see why you couldn't. You could, Rich Shaw's saying yes, you can. And you've generally got that bankside with you anyway. So just one other thing on these. I started fishing on the fish were up in the water because the sunshine came out. So I put a zig on, and I did exactly the same. I coated my my pop-up in a glug and spirulina, and had a fish quite quickly. And interestingly, Beanie did the same thing, albeit I'm not sure if Beanie was using spirulina or if she was using fly. I think Beanie was using the fly powders, but again, we both had fish quickly. And you sprayed and coated your zig too. Yeah, for me, it just adds that extra attraction, so why not? You've got nothing to lose, have you? And I always think with a zig, it's kind of floating around, in the different layers, and anything you can get them to take it, the better. Steve's saying, use method mix to trap the hair over my hook bait earlier this week. With method mix on the stones worked well. Yeah, you were. I thought you were using fly powder. And Lee's saying, yes, you would have to prep the method mix as if you was making boilie paste and add eggs. Yeah. So hopefully that's answered a lot of the questions that have been coming in. We did say I would try and do a little video on it this week. So, and to be honest, I probably still will. But I'll just give you an idea. If I can spin the camera. So you can see these are already going way darker because they're starting to dry. But if I turn them, you'll see that bit's still really light. So that's the effect that you get. So you keep turning them, and then eventually it'll all go clear. You'll see once you turn them again, the water will probably, you know, come out the other side as well. So what we're saying, Rich says, I'm taking eggs to France in method mix. The owners may not allow the method, but I can use whatever hook baits I like. I've been making my own as well as the boosted hook baits. Yeah, and that's the, you know, that I use the boosted hook baits a lot, but I don't know. I just think sometimes that if it's that little bit softer and kicking out a bit more attraction, although the boosted hook baits really do kick out attraction, but they're really hard. I sometimes think the being soft is good, but again, there'll be times when it doesn't work. I have to admit, I've gone through trying various different hook baits this weekend. As I say, I had that big common here on one of the ones I'd made, and then I've had some on the pop-ups that have been coated in glug and powders and stuff. I had one on multi-worm. So for me, it's worth. It doesn't take hours. But there's just something special about it. I guess it's a bit like, I can equate it to the first time I made, I was out fishing in Thailand with my brother, and I made my own rigs and caught the fish out there on my own rigs. Was really special because obviously the size of them, and it's a bit of an achievement. And making your own hook baits felt a bit like that, only a little bit more, if that makes sense. And all I was doing is whatever hook bait I was using, whatever mix it had been in, whatever extras I'd added to it, I was adding those into my method mix. So at one point I had 2 different method mixes on the go, which were the same base mix. I was using basically Daphne and maggot and carp crush together, and then into one I was adding extra gamma shrimp. I tend to use gamma shrimp a lot because I love the way it explodes and stuff, but I was adding quite a bit of spirulina into one and not into the other. So that's Steve saying gamma shrimp is an absolute must in the method mix, really activates it. Yeah, it really it does. And I found I always try and make my method up a little bit. You get there and you get the consistency, but then more water absorbed and you tend to have to add more water in. So I play around, like that, and I found the hook baits were a bit the same. Sometimes you've got to add a bit more, especially, here it's been so hot. I've had them in a cool bag, but I have added a bit of extra flavour in there to keep them, to keep them moist, and then they've gone back into the freezer. Obviously these 2 bags, all I've been doing is taking a few out, so they that's why I thought I'd run out, and then I realised I still had those ones and got really excited. So that's kind of what I've been doing. What's Neil saying? How much mix to 1 egg? It's dependent on the particular mix and everything else, and it's also dependent on the size of your eggs, because obviously different size eggs are different. If you want some guidance, give us a ring in the office during office hours, and I'm sure Pom will talk you through how much to add. I know he does. I think it's actually on the bag of the base mixes what the recommended amount of egg to add is, but by all means give him a phone and he'll speak to you about it. I'm just telling you that. I've not checked it with him, but I know that'll be okay. So Sorry, just have a quick slurp. Just seeing if I've missed any questions. I apologise if I have. Hopefully I haven't. But so hopefully that, as I say, explains a little bit around. Really, everyone has their own mix. Play around, yeah. Always play around. Add stuff to try. All Pallatrax can be used together, so there's no limit to what you can try. Yeah, you're right. There's so many different combinations by just adding a little bit that, you know, often when I'm using hook baits or my method mix, I'll give it a spray of a booster, but I won't just use one flavour. I'll often layer it with different ones. Very much like Lee was saying with, you can freeze it. That's the other thing, I think, when you freeze it, it often takes even more flavour in. And there's nothing wrong with getting it out, giving it another spray, giving it a little bit more flavour, putting it back in. The paste is that good, I would do exactly what you've done to make hook baits. Yeah, to me, it's just so much easier, especially when you're bankside, or for me, you know, I'm away in the van, but I can still make them. If I run out, it's not an issue. I can quickly cook them up. But like I say, Beanie and I have done it on the bank before. The other thing I like to do, generally when I'm doing these hook baits, is I will get some cork balls. I soak a lot of my cork balls in the neat flavour, like in these neat flavours, and they really soak it up because obviously it's wood, so it's porous. And I'll wrap a small amount of paste around them and then boil them up. I'm just laughing, sorry. I found the easiest way to take the swim next to Sue. Yeah, that works, Beanie. It all evens out. You make the brews, and I'll make the hook baits. But yeah, you can use like I say, cork balls and make your own pop-ups. You just need to check the buoyancy, but you can make wafters and everything that way. And interestingly, I didn't make any before I went to East Elf because cork's banned there. And it was Rich Shaw who said you could have used a pop-up. And I thought, yeah, I could. What a good point. I didn't think about it, but I could have used just one of our pop-ups and wrapped a little bit of paste round and boil it off in the same way. So it's stored up there, Mr. Shaw. Thank you very much. It's a shame you couldn't tell me before the weekend, and I'll do it then. Yeah, you can make tea, provide the grapes and the chocolate. Yeah, you did a grand job of doing that at the weekend, I have to say. We ate rather a lot. But no, so as I say, has anybody got any questions on any of that? Hopefully it makes sense. Sue, when do you think the new pop-ups will be available? Colin, I know that we are going to be making some more this week because Pom's already told me that I'm going to get to help doing that again because I love it. The more I learn, the better. I find it fascinating, the way things... I never asked before the weekend, else you would have told me. Thanks for that, Rich. You should have been psychic and just known. So I imagine within probably the next few months, because they're now at a consistency that we're happy with. We're happy with the results we're getting and everything. So, and they will be available in the Crave, Jungle and Multi-Worm initially. But watch this space. It'll be announced on the page as soon as they're available. But like I say, I've been really lucky in testing them, and they are fantastic. And Lee's saying the White Jungle 10mm pop-ups are smashing it for me. Lee, you know how much I love those White Jungle 10mm squad pop-ups. I've had some amazing fish on those. I often think just that flash of white works. I have a question. Will Tinny be willing to change pizza night again? Quite possibly, Beanie, although I have to say I was incredibly fortunate last night and had a pizza all to myself, and it was massive, and I've still got half of it in the van. And Pom said this morning as we were moving everything from the cabin, he says, "Oh, is this pizza still good?" I was like, "Yeah, don't throw my pizza away. I'm gonna heat it up and eat it." So all good. Having a confident bait and presentation, but if slightest off a spot can cause a missed opportunity. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Do you mean if you're confident in your bait and your presentation? That's good, but if you're off the spot that you're fishing, it can cause a missed opportunity. I'm taking it that's what you're meaning, but I'm not entirely sure. Yes, Beanie, who tied that zig for you, Beanie? I can't remember. It's somebody really nice, I believe, that tied that zig for you. Same one who gave you a load of cooked hook baits, I think. So yeah, I think that's what you're saying, Trevor, and hopefully that. If not, please tell me. Anybody else got any questions or anything? Tinny's just brought me in the this week's. Oh, I like this. So brought me in the raffle winner, and look at this. Hopefully you can see that. Pom. In fact, I'm gonna show it you that way. Oh, it's not. The light's not working. Saying Pom struck and then crossed out. Sue's live feed competition winner is Trevor Wheeler. Congratulations, Trevor. If you want to ping us a message across to the Pallatrax messenger page with your address, then we'll get those off in the post to you in due course. Lee Kelly. Sorry, Lee, it wasn't you tonight. It could have been. You were in it, and you've got to be in it to win it. But on this occasion, it wasn't you, I'm afraid. So well done, Lee Kelly. Nice try. So, but if nobody's got any more questions, because I've gone over my hour, then I will shoot off because I've just moved the van up onto Charlie's, where I'm going to spend the next few days and get some work done, etc. And I need to catch up because I've been a bit out of it with not very much internet signal, so I've got some serious catching up to do. So lots of people saying well done, Trevor. So if anybody does have any questions, in all seriousness, then please drop us a message. We'll help wherever we can. If you want, obviously, advice on making hook baits, Pom's the real man to speak to, but obviously I'm kind of the young apprentice, and so far it's working well, so I'm happy to help in any way that I can. I'm fishing in new water this year and bream are a big problem. What size baits would you suggest to avoid them? If you don't want to catch them, then my answer is keep going up in bait size until you stop catching them. And be careful how much you feed. But I'm multi-species and I like catching everything. So I don't mind catching the odd bream, especially if they're big ones. But if I'm trying to avoid them and there are plenty of bream there, then I'll try putting bigger hook baits on. But as Beanie's quite rightly said, if there's a lot there, you can't really avoid them. You're just going to try and target the carp rather than the bream, try and get the bream to move off and the carp to move in. Lee's saying he's had bream on 22mm baits. So, and that's the problem. You know, I've had sort of £2 carp on 20mm baits because they managed to get hold of it enough that they can suck the hook in. So it is really difficult. Yeah, sometimes different flavours work with different things. So yeah, catch a bream, win a spoon. Well, except nobody made you a spoon, Beanie, which is a shame for you. But yeah, I'm just Anthony's saying he doesn't mind catching them if they're a good size. So yeah. Like I say, any more questions, please feel free to give us a shout. I'd just like to say a big shout out, obviously, to Pom and Tinny for looking after us all this weekend on the fishing, and to the guys who were here, Dave and the two Ians, the two bearded Ians as well. Really good bunch, really nice people, and you know, some lovely fish were caught and some amazing food as always from Tinny. So yeah, Beanie's saying she had 2 bream at Delft, but also £30 carp, same baits. Yeah, and you did, and you had a lot of other nice carp as well. So it, like you say, it just goes to show. So no rods out now, Lee. My fishing's done. I might go and have a little play up on Charlie's, but I need to get some work done and prepare for the Carpology crew getting here next week. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. As always, any questions, pop them in. And if you're not already a member of the team, then please feel free, go onto the website, or you'll see there's posts on this page with a link to the team. It's free to join. You get lots of different information. We do the live feeds every other week on the team page. We also do fish-ins and lots of other things. So we have a really busy Facebook page as well. So, but thanks everybody for coming, and speak to you all soon. All right, cheers now, bye.